Welcome to the COMC Community Spotlight Show. We are talking a little bit of baseball this week because we've got a former Major League pitcher with us here on the show. It's Steve Wapnick. Steve, thanks for coming by. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
I don't get to talk with many former Major League pitchers very often. So we actually we met through some friends. A few weeks ago, went out to dinner and just got to talking, and I said, I need to have you on the Spotlight Show because your story's pretty cool. Don't get to meet too many former Major League pitchers. So you were in the Major Leagues in the early 90s.
Yes.
Pitched with the Tigers and the White Sox, I think.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you see somebody making it to the majors, I just think you were a great pitcher from the very beginning. You were a prodigy. It was always... you were always dominant on the mound. Is that the way it was? You grew up being a master pitcher?
Yeah, no, not at all. So I didn't start pitching until I got to college, actually.
Really?
I was in high school. I was a bench warmer, played third base. I wanted to catch, but we had a better catcher at the time, obviously a better third baseman. So when I got to junior college, I was trying to play third base, and the coach one day came to me and said, Steve, we've got third basemen. We need arms. And I was blessed with a good arm. God just gave me a good arm, and so I started pitching at that point. Had a so-so year, but I got to play, so that's all I cared about. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the following year, I started getting scholarship offers. I got drafted, and things started to get better, although where I went to college, Fresno State, I wasn't a great pitcher at Fresno State, but I learned a lot of the mechanics that helped me get to the next level. So once I did sign professionally, then things really started to go well for me.
What was your thing? Were you a fastball pitcher? Did you, a curve, or what was your forte?
Back then, I threw hard.
Really?
Based on today's standards, heck, I would never have even signed probably, because all these guys, you look at these guys at Camden High School, they all probably threw harder than me.
Really?
But so I was around 93, 94, 95 here and there, but kind of a mid to upper 90s guy, which back then was hard, and today's standards, not so much.
I don't know. That's pretty good in today's standards, mid 90s. But actually, football, I guess, was your first love, right?
Yep.
You wanted to be a football player.
I did. I was going to be 6'5", 250 pounds, because the guy that I loved watching, Jack Youngblood, that's how big he was.
Yeah.
So.
And if you don't know Jack Youngblood, former Ram, linebacker, I think?
Kind of a defensive end type guy.
Defensive end. Is he the guy that played with a broken leg?
Broken arm.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah. So you want to be a pro football player, not a pro baseball player. What happened? What changed that got you out of football?
Yeah, so I loved football.
Yeah.
And everything I wanted to do was about football. And I was born with a heart ailment. And so when I got to, I guess I was probably junior high, maybe 7th grade, and they did a more extensive look at my heart.
Yeah.
The doctor, the cardiologist, basically said, look, you can't play football, but we'll let you play baseball.
Really?
And so my dream was kind of crushed at that point, but I just kind of changed focus.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was a bench warmer in high school, so the odds to go on and do something great weren't really there, but you still just battle. That's how my parents raised me.
So you just decided, okay, I can't do football. They're not going to let me do that. Yep. You're just kind of looking around, and here's baseball, and you just kind of jump in on that just to do something?
Well, and I'd always played baseball. So back then we played all these different sports. So I always loved baseball also. My passion was football. And so mark one off and just start doing the other and putting more time and effort in the other.
Yeah. Wow. But at that age, being that young, that's kind of hard to do. So you were a bench warmer playing baseball in high school, but you still wanted to play in college. So how did you get a gig in college?
So I just knew something inside of me told me, hey, you can keep playing. You can do good things in the sport. And so where I grew up in Los Angeles, we had all these junior colleges all around us.
Yeah.
So I went looking for the worst junior college baseball team within about a 30-minute drive from home.
You were looking for a bad program.
I just wanted to play. Right. So I looked for some place that I could possibly play. And so I found one, went there, and the
rest is history.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it there at the junior college where they switched over to pitching?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So probably within the first 3 weeks.
Thank goodness for that, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty neat. I had never, I pitched a little bit in Little League, but I was always a third baseman or catcher. So I rarely pitched. I didn't have good control. Junior college, I threw hard, but I didn't have great control. Yeah. But the more I did it, the more consistent I became.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just worked out.
You ever go back to one of those coaches at junior college and like, thank you, man, you changed my life, making me a pitcher?
It's funny because the guy that actually did it, his name's Gil Mendoza. And I can't remember his daughter's first name, but she's on ESPN. She did Major League Baseball for a while.
Okay.
Mendoza's the last name. But he's the one that did that. So he knows how much I appreciate him and everything else. But it was more of my high school coach that I'd have conversations with that just, he would apologize and everything else. And I would just tell me, honestly, you helped set that fire within me.
Yeah.
But there were guys just better than me, flat out. It wasn't that I got, a lot of people look at our situation, oh, I'm not playing, I'm getting, it's just not right. But I knew, heck, he did everything right. I just bloomed later.
Interesting, yeah. And some people do bloom later, right? I mean, perfect example of that. So you weren't so good. You looked for a bad junior college program so you could just play. And then all of a sudden you start getting major league teams interested in drafting you.
Yes.
Was that a shock? Were you surprised or?
Yeah, I guess I was. Where I went to high school, we had a lot of great talent around there. So there were always guys, Brett Saberhagen, people like that would sign and you just always saw them. So what I was doing in junior college velocity-wise, I knew I knew I had an opportunity just to go on from there. And then when I started getting a lot of colleges interested and then the scouts were coming out, and I got drafted, I just kind of thought, okay, this is great. But I knew I wasn't prepared to sign professionally because I threw. I didn't pitch, I just threw. And so I needed to really learn how to pitch. And that's where Coach Bennett, Bob Bennett at Fresno State, he taught me how to pitch.
Wow, okay. So we're talking with Steve Wapnick, former Major League pitcher, about his journey to the major leagues, kind of a surprising journey in a way. And so we'll get into the major leagues and what that was all like when we come back with Steve Wapnick here on the COMC Community Spotlight Show. At COMC, your health is our mission. Central Ozarks Medical Center offers 3 OBGYNs at the Osage Beach Clinic and 2 pediatricians with same-day appointments available. At COMC, our doors are open to everyone with 5 primary care locations conveniently located across the Ozarks. COMC for the best medical, dental, and behavioral health care. Get more info on how COMC can help you at centralozarks.org. COMC, where your health is our mission. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, Lake TV's got it all. We think it's hot stuff when things cool down. We spring into action when things start warming up. Of course, summer is one big, huge shootout on Lake TV. And we fall in love all over again when autumn rolls around. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, Lake TV's got it all. Welcome back to the COMC Community Spotlight Show. Former Major League pitcher Steve Wapnick with us. And you live at the lake now, right?
We do,
Right here at the lake.
We do, yeah.
So your journey to the major leagues was a bit of a surprise. You didn't even really, football was your main love.
Yes.
Couldn't do that because of health issues. Got into baseball, weren't even that good. Had to find a bad college team so you could play there. And then you start getting good. And what major league franchise actually drafted you?
So I got drafted a few times. So the first time was with the San Diego Padres, and I didn't sign. Then the next time was the Oakland A's, and I didn't sign.
Because you kept playing college ball.
I kept playing college. And then the last time I signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. Each time I got drafted, I went lower and lower in the draft.
Right.
So I was moving the wrong way, but luckily I still was able to sign.
Still got drafted?
Yeah.
So then when you did get the draft offer from the Blue Jays, it wasn't a shock because you'd been drafted twice before in earlier years. Do you wish you would have left college earlier and gone to one of those teams?
No, absolutely not. I wasn't prepared. I might have been able to financially get paid a little bit more, but my journey would have been short-lived because I wasn't ready.
Right, absolutely. Now, my wife and I go to the College World Series almost every year in Omaha. We were there many years ago, and Fresno State, I think, they were winning national championships, right?
Yeah, I think we've got one national championship.
Okay.
It was after I left, and, but
so they were happy to get rid of you. Then
exactly.
They could win a national championship. So how did you get the news that you were drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays? How does that work?
Yeah, so back then we didn't have cell phones or any of that stuff. So I wasn't sure I was going to get a chance to play professional. My senior year at college wasn't great. And so I was playing in a pickup game in Los Angeles, trying to just throw and get some exposure. And one of my cousins came to the game. My mom called, and he lived close to where we were playing, and he shared with me that I got drafted by the Blue Jays.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what did you do when you get the news? Do you celebrate? Do you cry? How does that work?
Yeah, I think it was more relief because my senior year was not good at all. I wasn't sure I was going to have the chance. So now I was going to get the chance, and now it was up to me.
Right. So you didn't just go straight to the major leagues.
No.
It's not the way it works unless you're really a prodigy. But even then, you have to go through the minor leagues, right?
Yep.
So did you start out, where did you start out?
So I started out in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, playing rookie ball.
Okay.
I guess it's actually short season A ball.
Okay.
And then the next year I went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, played low A ball for a full season. And then the next year I went to high A ball. I started out, then got moved up to double A, following year triple A, or not the following year, during that season, triple A.
Yeah.
So everything went great.
So you're moving up.
I moved up quickly, and they have a thing, a draft that happens for unprotected players. So if you're not protected on the 40-man roster, after 3 years, you can be drafted. So I was the first one taken in that draft with the Tigers, and I thought, oh, everything's perfect. I'm going to be with the Tigers, and life will be great.
Yeah. So you went over, you started playing for Detroit.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first major league game walking into the stadium? Where was that, and what was that like?
So the first game I ever, suited up as a major leaguer was in Boston.
At Fenway?
At Fenway.
Wow.
And so it was pretty cool. Historic ballpark. You know, it was opening day. It was packed, and it was pretty impressive. It was pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you take any pictures or just mental memories? Or?
Just mental. Just being there and being awed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty watching Roger Clemens, opening day starter, it's just phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah.
And sitting there in Fenway Park knowing that the greatest of the great players have played here. I mean, Babe Ruth played there, and, obviously Ted Williams and all that stuff. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Wow. Okay. So that's your first stadium.
Yep.
How about the first time you took the mound? Where was that at?
So that was in Detroit.
Okay.
It was against Baltimore Orioles.
Okay.
It was my mom's birthday, April 14th. So they were there. And I went in, I struck out the side my first major league inning.
Wow.
I always say that, but I actually gave up a hit and a walk in between. But I did strike out 3. But so that was my first major league game, and it was neat.
How cool. That was Old Tiger Stadium?
Yeah, it was, yes.
Oh, historic Old Tiger Stadium. Yep. Okay. So what an amazing, I know you work with the FCA, the Local Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Did faith play a big part in your journey?
So I became a Christian basically after the first year I signed professionally.
Okay.
I asked Jesus to be my Lord and Savior. I was introduced to Christ as a senior in college and just had to figure some things out in my mind. But then it was really so much about faith. I was immature as a believer, but I was sold out to Christ. So I was lucky in the Toronto Blue Jay organization. We had a lot of men around me that were just strong, faithful believers, and they really helped accelerate my growth.
Wow. We've got so much more to talk about. We'll have to do another show or two with Steve Wapnick, former Major League pitcher. Thank you, sir.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You bet. And thank you for joining us for the COMC Community Spotlight Show.
You're watching Lake TV.